Hello, everyone. My name's Eric Teacher, and I'm so glad you're here today. We're about to go on a journey, one that's all about you. Not just your name or what you like, but something deeper, discovering who you really are. Are you ready? Let's get started. All right, so why knowing yourself, your true self, really matters? Well, a wise person by the name of Aristotle once said that knowing yourself is the start of all wisdom. And what does that mean? It means when you understand yourself, what makes you happy, what matters most to you, it's easier to make good choices, find real friends, and grow into the amazing person you're meant to be. Now, let's talk about the limits of using I, me, and my to talk about yourself. So, I is just what you want right now, or how you feel right now. I want candy. I want to play. I feel happy. These are things that change and can change very quickly, too. And then there's also using me. When I use me, I'm really saying what others say about me. They gave me an award. She played with me. It's using other people to try and describe who I am. But that's not who I am, right? And then there's also my. And my is just things that I own. My bike, my favorite toy. And these are just a small part of the story that makes up who I am. They don't show what makes me special inside. So let's talk more about what does. So, what does myself mean? So, it includes how we grow and how we feel. I let myself try new things, even when I'm scared. And this means that you're brave enough to feel your feelings and still grow. But it's also about these sort of core values, these parts of us that maybe never change. Like, I stand up for kindness or compassion, even when it's hard. It means that your heart knows what's right, and that's something that will stay with you. And then there's also our special talents. It's our talents, our dreams, and the things that make us us, right? The beginning of knowing true self. When you say myself, you're talking about all of these wonderful things that make you unique. And it also is about our growth over time, how we grow and change. Now, let's talk about the robot me and the author me. So let's imagine two versions of ourselves, robot me and author me. Robot me just follows what everyone else says. They're afraid to think differently. In a robot's case, it's because they can't think differently, right? They just do what they're programmed to do. And it lets other people decide everything. So this is living your life like a robot. So when we use like I, me, my, we are letting other people tell us who we are with me. We're letting other things tell us who we are with my. And I is just so temporary that we can't really use it in a valuable way. So author me. When we talk about myself, it means that we are choosing our own choices in life. We are making careful choices in that case. We know what matters most. And we, through our choices, create a wonderful life story, not just following others. And that's part of why myself is important. Now, sometimes it's hard to hear our inner voice, the voice of myself. And that's because we might be worrying about what other people think, and that creates a sort of inner noise. Or we might just be scared of having these big, strong feelings, sadness or fear. But also, oftentimes our lives have so many distractions from who we are, from myself. Our smartphones, TV, video games, these are all fun, but they're adding to that noise. They're telling us different stories and not letting us focus on myself. And once we can overcome that noise, we can really find who we are. But guess what? There are questions that help us find our true self. So these are just a few examples, but think about things like, what do I think about when I feel happiest? When I'm in a happy moment, what thoughts are going through my head? Who am I thinking about? What am I thinking about? We can also try to consider other sort of abstract ideas, colors or songs. Feel like they match who I am on the inside. Also, what would I do if no one was watching me? This is an important question to ask because then there aren't other people telling us who we are. And then a big one, if I had no toys or games, how could I make myself happy using just my thoughts, feelings, or just everyday activities? This can really help us figure out what we enjoy. And then, of course, when, during the day or during the week, do I feel most like me, my true self? So these questions are like magical keys that can help unlock the door to the real you. All right, so let's change the I likes that we like to write about to the I feel like myself when. And that can help us lead to the bigger things that make us who we are. So when we're writing, instead of saying, I like to play video games, we can instead say, I feel most like myself when I play video games because it helps me focus. And I like solving problems on my own. Now, this is just an example. There could be other reasons why you like to play video games, but when we phrase it, I feel most like myself, we're getting in touch with that myself part. And then that reason after that is going to come from you and is going to be specific to you. So it may not be that it helps you focus, but it helps you be creative. It could help you solve. And then we should continue to talk about how we do that and how we use that tool in real life. So instead of saying in school, my favorite subject is art, we can say in art class, I feel like myself, or I feel like I can express myself without words. It's the one place I never feel like I have to pretend. I feel like myself when I see my ideas come to life with colors. See how these sentences get more to who I am than I like art. My favorite class is art. And then we also have I like being around friends, or I like my friends, or I have many friends. We need to figure out why. So maybe this could be a good alternative. I feel comfortable when I'm with people who get me. Around them, I don't have to act different. I can just be who I really am. And who I really am is that's the important part we're trying to get to, right? We might also say, I enjoy reading books, or I like books. And instead we need to go into the what makes me feel that way. And so when I read, I feel like I leave my worries behind and find new parts of myself in the characters. So I can see parts of me in the character. It helps me understand what I feel. And in all of these writings, we can continue on from that point. With I like books or I like my friends, there's not really any way to continue with going deeper into who we are. But with all of these are good starting points. And if you're still not sure about feeling like yourself or feeling like your true self, think about times when you are calm, happy, and just proud of yourself, proud of who you are. Think of when you show your inner strength and kindness, when you can prove to yourself that you can take a moment to reflect. Remember the robot thinking. The robot is always reacting. So somebody does something and it makes you angry, but instead you take that moment to take a breath and not respond with anger, but respond with understanding. That is when you find yourself. Those are the moments that show who you are, not the responding immediately with your feelings. So look for these in your life. And you should also, when you take time to question yourself, why is this a part of me? Or should this be a part of me? Like, oh, I don't feel like I'm somebody who is angry when other people do well. Why am I feeling this way? These are the questions that help us to understand who we are. And those are what we want to kind of see in the writing. And of course, any instance where you grow and show the amazing person that you're meant to be is a part of your true self. I invite you all to start listening more closely to your thoughts, to your feelings, to your voice. You don't have to be perfect, just curious and open. And with that, that is all the time we have. See you next time.